With our offensive coordinator and quarterbacks coach, Bill Musgrave, for his Wednesday availability. Go ahead, as always, just let me know in the chat that you've got questions, and we'll get started with Jeff Ferrato from Cal Sports Report.
Good morning, Bill. How you doing?
Good, thank you, Jeff. Yes, sir.
It's still good morning for one more minute, so I got that right. You guys did a padded scrimmage on Saturday. Can you just give us your evaluation of the quarterbacks? And particularly, it looked like Zach Johnson performed pretty well.
Yeah, he had some good moments. I thought all four guys really came to play on Saturday. The full pads was great. We went full pads again today, and we've got good energy. It's a lot of game type situations, so the quarterbacks are receiving a lot of good training, as you can imagine, from our defense. The variety of looks, the coverages, the pressures, the fronts. Couldn't be any better in terms of training for the 2021 season.
And getting back to Johnson for just a minute, what are you seeing in him that you like? What's he doing well?
Well, he's really embraced the offense. He does a super job in the huddle, both in the huddle and at the line of scrimmage when we do our no huddle operations. So he's doing a super job, knowing where everybody is. He gets through progressions. At times, none of us get through them all the time, but he's making strides in terms of his progressions and having a grasp on where everybody's going to be if his first target happens to be covered.
Do you expect to know who your number 2 is by the end of spring, or do you think that'll go into the summer?
Well, we haven't talked about that as a staff or with Coach Wilcox. I'm sure we'll have some depth chart discussions at some point. Right now, it's just been amazing. It's all football. As you can, Monday, Wednesday, Friday, Saturday, it's football and on to the next. So I would guess we'd probably make that determination between spring and fall. And if we need to go into fall, then we would. But it's great now because everybody's getting an equal amount of reps because we want everybody to improve through spring. That's the real bottom line of spring football.
And Robbie Rowell, how's he doing?
Good. Yeah, good. Robbie is a old school football player. Today, of course, he had another big day. When he pulls it down and runs, he looks for small numbers to run over. He's not going out of bounds. He's not sliding, making good throws too. But Robbie brings a lot to the table, and we're thankful to have him.
And what about how Spencer Brash is doing?
Good. Spence had some really good throws today. I think of a seam and also a go route down the left side where Spencer just laid it right in there. So it's a really great group. You can sense my enthusiasm. It's a fun group with which to work.
It sounds like it's a good thing that you got a bunch of guys playing pretty well.
Yeah, and I think they're getting better. We've gotten in a little bit of a rhythm here. Now with 9 practices, we've gotten in a rhythm, and the guys are starting to feel more comfortable, I think, with where everybody's supposed to be, what our checks are, our alerts at the line of scrimmage, when we go to one play versus another. I think just the time on task has really helped.
Great, thanks.
Okay, we'll go to Trace Travers from Rivals.
Yeah, I guess good afternoon now, Coach.
Yeah.
Like the hat. We're getting to talk to Tommy Christakos in a little while, and he appeared to have a good scrimmage from the numbers that we got. What has stood out about what he's been able to do this spring?
Tommy's been playing our split end spot. Today we put him at flanker a little bit also. But when he's at the split end, I mean, he's a big target over there, runs good routes, and on those 50-50 balls where they're moment of truth catches where he and a defender are there, here comes the ball en route. Who's going to come down with it? We feel good about our chances with Tommy. He's learning about who to block in the run game. The whole freshman class is really impressive when you talk about Justin Baker, Mason Mangum, Aiden Lee. I mean, and then we haven't even talked about Jeremiah Hunter from Fresno. Just those 5 guys bring a lot to the table, and they're all doing really good things on the field. So it's quite a group there, the 2020 class.
Yeah, and I wanted to ask about Jeremiah Hunter. He's a guy who, when we saw him be recruited, he was someone who looked like he would be ready more quickly than some of the others. Has that kind of been confirmed by your thought, or where is he at this point?
He got hurt last year, but if he wouldn't have gotten hurt, he would have played a major role for us. And so we're glad to have him back healthy. The ball seems to find him. The ball just seems to find him in the middle of the field, down the sideline. He's got a tremendous catch radius. He's someone that we're, again, thankful to have on our team, and he'll play a major role.
Yeah. And you said it there, and using the middle of the field was something that you guys didn't do too often last year in the truncated period. How much more do you want to use the middle of the field, especially in that intermediate area of the passing game?
Yes, we definitely do. We want to get comfortable hitting passes there, not only in between the numbers, but definitely in between the hashes. So the defense has to defend all 53 1/3 yards of width. So we're working hard on that this spring, and it feels like we're making strides. We'll be able to assess and evaluate it once everything's said and done, but we're working hard at it.
Awesome. Thank you.
Okay, we'll go to David Bush from Bear Insider.
Yeah, Bill. Last year, Damien Moore took some people by surprise, at least me, about how well he did. And he evidently had a pretty good game on Saturday. You just talk about his progress and what he brings and his strengths.
He's a tremendous football player. Just from us watching him in 4 games worth last fall and up to these 9 practices today, I think of 2 or 3 plays where there's somebody in the hole and he makes a miss, or he doesn't give them a surface to make a tackle. He steps through tackles, very sharp in pass protection. So yeah, Damien is one hell of a football player, and he proved that as a true freshman in 2020.
Thanks.
Okay, we'll go back to Jeff Ferrano, Cal Sports Report.
Bill, it seems like you have pretty good numbers at the wideout position at the various spots. Do you have any sense of these freshmen turned sophomores, these 5 guys, how many of them are likely to be in your rotation come fall?
Well, I think those guys are all going to have a role. A couple of them are going to be major contributors on special teams. And then when somebody has a dominant trait or works hard or brings something to the table, we're going to find a role for them. We'll carve out something and engineer something so they can get on the field because they can help us win. So those 5 guys are all in line to be, contributors, both on offense, and special teams. So the various personnel groups that we like to feature, whether it's 3 wide receivers, 4 wide receivers, 5 wide receivers on the field at a time. Then with our tight ends, which we haven't talked about, of course, we like to utilize those guys because we can make the defense have a much less volume and variation when we have 2, 3, or 4 tight ends on the field at once.
But exactly what roles those 5 will play, at least in the case of some of them, that's yet to be determined.
Yet to be determined. A couple of them, Justin Baker and Aiden Lee, as you probably know, they've got running back background from high school. So those guys, we could hand it to as well as throw it to or toss it to them, use them in some misdirection. They're receivers, but they are multifaceted football players. And, when we talk about Jeremiah Hunter and Tommy Christakos, of course, Mason Mangum, who may be the fastest guy on our team. Of course, he runs track here at Cal too, but Mason can flat out go from Austin, Texas. So those guys are a real joy to have around.
Thanks.
Sorry, guys, we'll go to Max Frankie from Bear Insider.
Coach, could you talk about the veterans on the offensive line, particularly Valentino Daltoso and Mike Saffel, and how they're maturing this year?
Yeah, they're our leaders. They're definitely our leaders. They speak up. They lead through example, and so glad that they decided to come back. Super seniors of 2021. So Val's been doing a super job. He's played left tackle for us in the past. He's played left guard. He's working at right tackle right now. Mike is doing everything you could imagine at center. So they set the table and they set the pace for us.
Yeah, and what about the rest of the offensive line?
Doing a nice job. Ben Coleman is playing all the positions. Ben played center today. Did a super job. He's moving people off the line of scrimmage, and he's going to carve himself out a spot to play a lot. So it's great to see Ben emerge. Brandon Mello's doing a nice job at left tackle. He played a little bit of right last year. So the center position is strong with Mike and Brian Driscoll. Brian Driscoll stepped in last year, as you remember, on one day's notice and played a whale of a game after Mike got nicked up against the Beavers. And then Brian lined up the next week to play against Stanford when we had such a fun day running the football. So the O-line is a strength. The O-line is the engine, to our offense. We got a lot of shiny parts, like we talked about, all these receivers and of course the running backs, tight ends, but those are shiny parts on our automobile, on our vehicle. The engine is the O-line. So very crucial.
Thanks, Coach. And could you talk about incoming freshman Kai Milner? He presents a little bit of a different skill set than the other quarterbacks. And when he's on the field, do you think he's going to have a different game plan for him, for the Bears?
Good question. I think we'll have to find out. One thing is, us coaches, especially me, well, I'm not all knowing at all, but I can learn. So I'm looking forward to learning about Kai. I know I've watched him play in high school and he's done some fantastic things. We're so excited about him being a Cal Bear, but we'll get Kai here and get some exposure to him on the field and find out what he's good at. And then just like with all our other players, engineer and architect, customize, tailor the offense around him.
Thanks, Coach.
Thanks.
Excuse me. Okay. Anybody with a final question? Looks like Trace Travers has one. Go ahead, Trace.
Yeah, I believe it's maybe either today or tomorrow will have been a year to the day since everything basically shut down for you guys after the 4 practices last year. Just generally, where do you feel like you are in comparison to where you were then?
Well, we're definitely ahead. Of course, we've had more time on task. Our staff is amazing with Aristotle and Burl and Angus and now Jeep being on board. We work well together and we're watching a lot of film of ourselves, but we're also watching a lot of film of other teams across the country. And we're really looking forward to this season. We want to put our guys in the best position possible and, let it all hang out. So we're getting in a good rhythm and we're wanting to peak right there Labor Day weekend.
Thank you.
Thanks. All right. Thanks, Kyle.
I think Max, you got
Yeah.
one more, Coach. Max Frankie. Max, go ahead, Max.
Coach, sorry to keep you waiting, but we all want to hear about Jermaine Terry, the big guy
Yeah.
at spring ball. So if you could talk about like his
Yeah.
strengths and what you see him doing this year.
He's had an amazing 9 practices. This is a high school senior, as we know, just like Bastian Sweeney and Ryan Lang. Those are our 3 guys on offense. But tight end position is it's a bear. It's a bear. You talk about knowing run game, pass game, formations, motions, shifts. You got to know it all to play tight end. And Jermaine has jumped in, head first. Caught a touchdown on Saturday. Did a nice job blocking today. I can think of a couple instances where it was a complex look. The defense stemmed at the very end. He made the right call and then he finishes. He's got great effort. He's doing a lot of things for Charlie on special teams. But so exciting to have Jermaine here as a high school senior. So he's getting this experience. And then, of course, it'll be old hat by the time we return there late in the summer for the season.
Thanks, Coach.
Okay, Bill, thanks a lot for your time. I
Hey.
really appreciate it.
Yeah.